This week, we're giving you lots of choices, whether it's ballyhoo, goggle eyes, and thread fins offshore, or crab, shrimp, and pilchards inshore. Tonight, it's all about the bait, right here on the Chevy, Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Chevy, Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Chevy, Florida Insider Fishing Report. We have an exciting show for you this week with lots of special guests and an awesome hootin' and hollering audience. We also have Columbus Anglers Club in the house. Thank you guys for coming.
Way to
We're
be
all
here,
wearing
guys.
the colors. All right, as you guys know, hooking up to the fish you want to catch can be a difficult feat sometimes, but it all starts with the bait. So instead of talking about a specific species this week, we're all about the bait. Right, Rick? Okay, he's gonna try to dance. We're just gonna go to Dave for CC Workbench because you're all about the bait today, aren't you, Dave?
Come on, Dave.
I'm not gonna dance or sing.
No one
but
ever joins
we're
in
talking.
with me.
We're gonna talk a little bit about cast nets, and if you've got a cast net and know how to throw it, you don't have to buy bait anymore. You don't have to worry about that bait because you'll catch it.
You'll catch it with your bare hands.
That's right.
All right, Rick, we're always hearing the term match the hatch. Do you care to elaborate on bait?
You know, Bree, the key is understanding what bait is in the ecosystems during the right times of the year. So matching the hatch. Like when it's cold, you want to fish with a shrimp over a pinfish or over a mullet. In the fall and the spring, certainly the mullet are going to be around. And then in the summertime, that's when all the crabs come out of the rivers and all of the big bays. If you understand that, you're going to be that much of a better fisherman.
Sounds good to me. Well, Tommy Derringer's right here in the Northeast region. Hey, Tommy.
What's going on, Tommy?
Guys, good. Yeah, you know what? First off, happy Mother's Day to all the mamas out there, especially my wife and my mom. Hope everybody has a great weekend. You know, we have all kinds of different baits here in the Strike Zone Northeast region, and there's been a ton of bait showing up here in the last couple of weeks. Now, our year-round staples for inshore live bait are going to be shrimp and mud minnows. Now, just about all our inshore game fish eat one or the other, or even both those baits. A quarter-ounce jig head with a live shrimp or mud minnow would be the go-to for redfish, trout, and flounder pretty much year-round. Now, there's so many different baits to talk about offshore, but right now, frozen sardines and cigar minnows are getting a lot of use on the bottom for all kinds of snapper and grouper. Now, during the warmer months, there are two other baits that we tend to fish with more in my region than any other, both inshore and offshore, and that's mullet and menhaden, or better known as pogies in my region. Now, the finger mullet have been getting thicker by the minute, and all of our inshore species are fired up to eat those mullet. Now, cup mullet is also a great bait for redfish throughout the entire summer. Now, those redfish, they love a stinky piece of cup mullet next to any kind of oyster bar. The other abundant bait fish is going to be the pogie, and right now, those pogies are absolutely loaded up along the beaches. The tarpon, sharks, and kingfish are going to be in those pods all summer long. They're really a versatile bait. You can fish them on the bottom, up top, troll them. They also make some great cut bait, both inshore and along the beach. Just about everything's gonna eat them. If you're looking to bend a rod, you can just about always find something big around those pogie pods. And you know what? Right now, there are some huge bruiser jack crevalles, sharks, and even a few big tarpons starting to show up on those pods. We caught a few jacks yesterday that were over 35 pounds. Now, staying inshore, you know, as things continue to warm up, the redfish are just getting more fired up to chase topwater plugs and jigs. Now, if you get out super early this weekend, you're gonna have the first of the incoming tide, and the reds are gonna be on the feed. The ICW banks from channel marker 38 all the way up to Pine Island have been holding good numbers of redfish on that lower tide stage in St. Augustine. Now, just look for concentrations of bait along those shell bars, and you're gonna find the redfish. A soft plastic paddle tail in golden brim color or a live mud minnow on a quarter-ounce jig head's been working really, really well. I spoke to Captain Buzz Brannon from NortheastFloridaAngling.com, and he tells me that the redfish bite has been great in the Dutton Island and the Oak Harbor areas this week. His clients have been doing well with the same rigs that I just mentioned, and he's fishing around oyster bars on that first of the incoming tide, which we'll have first thing in the morning this weekend. Now, Captain Buzz sent me a picture. This is his client, Ava, with a nice slot redfish she caught in the Dutton Island area. Now, moving offshore, you know, everyone in the region probably knows the mahi bite is wide open, but I thought I'd talk about some bottom fish this week. You know, we have a great snapper bite happening throughout the region with both mangroves and muttons. I spoke to Captain Shane Stover, and he tells me with the full moon this week, the mangrove snapper have started to spawn, and there's some big ones around. It's a little early, but Captain Shane says that they're starting to group up, in the 80 to 120 foot depths. Now he likes to anchor up current of a good ledge and then chum those mangroves up using cut sardines or pogies. Now even when the fish get fired up on the chum, they can still be a little spooky, so he's going to downsize his gear to 20 to 30 pound fluorocarbon leader and a smaller 3/0 VMC circle hook. Then just using a chunk of that chum, just let it float back in the slick. Now if you want to get sporty, Shane says that the better bite can sometimes be at night, just using those same methods. Now those mangroves are running anywhere from 6 to 12 pounds, and I got another photo. This is Captain Shane's client, Tim, with a really nice mangrove snapper he caught in about 100 feet of water out of St. Augustine. Now, also the grouper bite has been really good this week. I spoke to Captain Billy Hunsicker from Endless Summer Charters, and he says they've been catching some nice scamps, reds, and gags this week in about 160 foot of water. Now he said they're in a little shallower as well, but there's just so many dang red snapper around, it's been tough to get through them and get a grouper to bite. Now Captain Billy is fishing natural bottom ledges. He's using live pinfish, grunts, or sardines on an 8 foot, 100 to 150 pound leader, and he's using 8 to 12 ounces of lead, depending on what the current's doing. He's going to use a 2X circle hook in various sizes and depending on the size of the bait. I've got one last picture here. I took a day off from chartering this past week, got my brother and my nephew out to some deeper water in the flats boat, and we got on one of those nice gag groupers.
All right, thank you so much, Tommy. We're going to go ahead and talk to you next week. Great report. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Strike Zone Northeast region. Inshore, redfish and trout on the first of the incoming tide in the Oak Harbor area. Soft plastic paddle tails or mud minnows and a 1/4 ounce jig fished around those oyster bars is going to get those guys. And then offshore, mangrove snappers and groupers throughout the region in 80 to 160 feet of water. Fish the ledges with live or frozen sardines, Bree.
All right, there's a lot of bait action in the Casa Vieja Southeast region, and Captain Jimbo Thomas is going to tell you all about it. Hey, Jimbo.
Hey, how we doing? Yep, we do have a lot of bait here in the Southeast region, and that's why we have such great fishing down here, because of all that bait for all the fish that we like to catch. That's what they can all eat. Now, here in the Southeast region, a block of chum, a couple packs of sabikis, a cast net, or a pocket full of cash. That's all you need to fill that live well. And there's plenty of great spots to catch bait throughout the region. Up in the north end, Blue Heron Bridge and Lake Worth Inlet, any of the fishing piers along the coast, in and around all of the inlets, navigation markers, and buoys, and also around the numerous bait patches. Now, we like to use sabikis. That's the preferred method for catching threadfin herrings, pilchards, goggle-eyes, sardines, cigar minnows, blue runners, speedos, ballyhoo, and pinfish. We do use that sabiki rig to catch all of those. And the chum, well, that will usually bring those baits close to the boat fairly quickly. And if the bait doesn't come up in about 10 minutes, there's most likely none around. Pick up, move on to your next secret spot. Now, about the only time that we use the cast net is on pilchards or ballyhoo or mullet, because those are baits that don't want to eat the sabikis too much, although the pilchards do. And the hook and line baits, they will keep in much better shape than the cast netted baits. And we like to use a de-hooker. That'll help keep those baits lively, and it also save your hands from those little sabiki hooks. Now, aboard the Thomas Flyer, we like to use R&R tackle PG7 sabikis, and we have found that these rigs work well for most any kind of bait fish. If we want to catch the pinfish, we just put a little piece of bait on that sabiki, and it works great. And, of course, you need a good-sized bait well with lots of water flow, and that'll help keep those baits alive for days. And also, we like to keep a couple fresh bonitas in the fish box, and we can use those for cut bait if we hit a school of dolphin, or we can cut strips out of those bonitas, some belly strips, to troll with. And now that we have a bait well full of live bait, we're ready to go catch some fish. In the evenings and in the early mornings, there's been tarpon in the inlets and also around the bridges, and they're feeding on live crabs and mullet. Now, the tide doesn't seem to matter as long as it's moving. And then around the bridges, the outgoing tide has been the best. There's also been schools of tarpon on the outside flats. You can find these migrating tarpon on the oceanside points off any of the islands from Soldiers Key, South Angel Fish Creek, and the incoming tide has been the best. You want to target these tarpon with crab pattern flies, neutral shrimp pattern swim baits, and small live crabs on 5/0 to 6/0 circle hooks. And you want to work those baits slowly through the school or cast in front of the school and make a slow retrieve in front of those fish. Now, moving on out to the deep water, Our best offshore fishing has been for blackfin tuna, which have been in the 25 to 30 pound range. So there have been some nice ones. Those tunas have been hitting drifted and kitefish pilchards and herrings in 120 to 200 feet of water. And to get the most bites, you want to go with 30 to 40 pound fluorocarbon leaders and 5.0 to 6.0 circle hooks. But then again, after going stealth, we still had tuna bites on rigs with wire leaders, so you never know. But the bite's been best early in the morning and then late in the afternoon, which is pretty standard. And those tunas have been biting steady throughout the whole region. I got a photo here, and this 28-pound blackfin, that's what we typically catch this time of the year. We've been catching them all week like that. Now, staying offshore, some of the best kingfish action that we see in the southeast region is around the full moon of May, which is right now. Now, throughout the region, kings from 10 to 30 pounds and larger are being caught on live herrings and pilchards fished under the kite or on the drift in depths from 90 to 180 feet of water. Now, a free-lined, double-hook Speedo or Blue Runner, that's what these biggest kings have been caught on. Now, the only difference in our rig from the blackfin tunas is that we're adding a piece of an 18-inch piece of number 3 or number 4 wire leader to prevent any cutoffs. Now, in the Miami area, seems to be best from Government Cut north to Oliver Inlet, and the bite has been steady throughout the day, but early in the morning and late in the afternoons have been best.
All right, thank you, Jimbo. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Casa Vieja Southeast region. Inshore, tarpon, drift, live crabs, and mullet throughout your local inlet for the evening tarpon. And then offshore, blackfin tunas, kingfish, and sailfish. Fish live baits along the edges of the Gulf Stream in 90 to 200 feet of water for those blackfin tunas, kingfish, and sailfish. Now, guys, with me is the director of CCA Florida, Lisa Fitzgerald, CCA Star Florida.
Correct.
And Lisa, we're about to get started again, so why don't you tell everybody what we're going to be doing?
Yeah, well, this is our third year, second year being statewide. If you catch one of our tagged redfish, you have the chance to not at 7 prizes, but 8. We have 8. 6 adult prizes, which include a GMC pickup truck, a Pathfinder, Contender, Maverick, Sea Hunt, or a Carolina skiff. And all these youth anglers in here have the chance, if they catch a tagged redfish, to win a brand new Carolina skiff with a 40 horsepower Yamaha and trailer, and all the other boats are powered by Yamaha as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, we also, being you got youth anglers, let's talk a little bit about, you got scholarships also.
We've got $100,000 in youth scholarships, 2 $25,000 scholarships, and 10 $5,000 scholarships. And that's not for catching a tagged fish, guys and gals. That is for just catching a trout, non-tagged redfish, ladyfish, jack, snook, cobia, kingfisher, dolphin.
Now, if we're one of the lucky ones to catch a tagged redfish, now this is what the redfish tag looks like, guys.
Lime green.
What do we do, Lisa?
When you catch the fish, you want to make sure that you take a photograph of it on the official measuring device. Those will be available on May the 20th. You want to take a picture of it, submit it through the smartphone app, which you'll download onto your phone. If you already have it on your phone, it'll be updated and you'll be able to use it anyway. Within 2 hours of landing that fish, you need to make sure you call the phone number that's on there. Don't keep the fish unless you plan on eating it. Clip the tag as close as you can to the fish's body, and then either turn the fish loose, or if you're going to have it for dinner, then have it for dinner. But don't do like some of the guys have done. Don't get registered and make that your $60,000 redfish dinner.
No.
No.
Let's make sure we get everything, all our T's crossed and our I's dotted for sure.
That is correct. But you know, we don't just have tagged redfish. We have 14 additional division. There's something for every skill leveled angler. It's amazing. We have an open inshore and offshore.
And if people have questions, where can they go to find out more information?
They can go to www.ccafloridastar.com, and we'll be happy to help them.
All right, it's time to get fishing, guys.
May
Lisa, thank you so
27th,
much.
yeah.
Bree,
Yes, it is.
are you
Thanks
registered?
for coming, Lisa. Yes, I am, but I'm not going to eat that tagged redfish when I catch one. All right, coming right up, we're headed to the Central West region and then seeing what rigs and techniques Dave is going to show us at the CCA workbench. I spy a cast net, Dave.
Yep, we're going to throw a cast net. Well, I'm not going to throw it because I'll be wearing it. But,
We'll
we
all
might
be
not
wearing
throw
it. We'll all be wearing it.
I don't know if I can throw it in here. I'll probably
right,
catch a light.
we'll be
or
right back, guys.
Cameraman.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Chevy,
Find new roads. Yamaha, reliability starts here. Contender Boats, performance through innovation. Daiquiri Deck, Sarasota's favorite place to meet. Q-Max, maximum saltwater protection. And Sea Sucker, get pumped.
Today we're going to be comparing the roll-form steel bed of the Chevy Silverado to the aluminum bed of this competitor's truck.
Awesome.
Yeah. First, let's check out the aluminum bed of this truck.
Wow.
Holy moly.
Full on crack here.
Now let's check out the steel bed of the Silverado.
I'd expect more dents.
No holes.
Current qualified lessees can get this Silverado All-Star Edition for around $249 a month. Plus, find your tag and get an additional $1,500 lease cash on select Silverado pickups in stock. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Meet the water's lightest 25 horsepower four-stroke, the all-new Yamaha F25, the new standard and 25 horsepower portable four-strokes. At just 126 pounds, it's got the best power-to-weight ratio of any 25 horsepower four-stroke on the water. With performance that bests the previous Yamaha F25 and features like Yamaha's VTS for precise trolling speeds, batteryless EFI, built-in resting pads, and carry handles, it's the perfect portable power for small boats.
It's one of the most ancient forms of hide and seek known to man. And nobody knows how to play the fishing game better than the backcountry guides and offshore captains of the Florida Keys and Key West. Ready or not, here we come.
Welcome back, guys. Let's now take a look at the FWC news and notes. If you're in the Northeast region, May 13th, there's a kids fishing clinic in Fernandina Beach. May 20th, there's a boating course in Vero Beach. And June 24th, a kids fishing clinic in Cape Canaveral. For more information, visit myfwc.com. But now it's time for Rigs and Techniques.
Well, we're here at the CCA workbench, Dave.
Yeah, and I lied. I ain't throwing it. I'm not going to throw the net. We're just going to talk about the net.
All right, so let's talk about it.
I'll end up doing something stupid.
Yes.
You know, cast nets come in a wide variety of sizes and styles, and what you're going to look for is you're going to try to find one that matches the bait that you're going to be you're trying to catch. You know, they come from like 3-foot sizes all the way up to 14-foot sizes, and obviously if you're starting out, you don't want to grab a 14-footer because a 14-footer is kind of like a commercial net. And a 3-foot net is a little tiny net maybe you'd use for shrimp. A lot of times they're made out of linen or cotton.
Right.
You know, you'll buy them in a little, little podunk tackle store sometimes. They're been hanging in there for years, and a lot of guys will get that as their first net, and then they'll go to try to throw it on some mullet or something, and it just won't work because it's made to sink real slow for shrimp or even little tiny baits when they're made out of cotton or any of those other things. Now all good nets are made out of monofilament. They used to be made out of nylon at one time, but nylon absorbed a lot of water and made them even heavier. And a cast net has to have some weight to it to work properly and to throw and to seal the fish up against the bottom when you throw it. And a good cast net will have about 1.5 pounds per foot. And if an 8-foot net's going to weigh about 15 pounds or so. And what you want to do is you want to try to find one that's going to match the mesh size, which is that size of your little holes here. That's a 1/4-inch mesh right there, and that mesh is going to be good for little tiny white baits, pilchards, stuff like that. A 3/8 inch is about a good all-around net. If you're you just want a net you can throw on just about anything, you want to use a 3/8 inch. What you're trying to do is you're trying to find the biggest hole that you can get that won't gill your baits.
Right.
And when the fish sticks his head through there and gills himself, he's going to die. And you're trying to catch bait that's alive. You want a live bait. A lot of times you'll throw and get a bunch of pilchards or freeze or whatever, and then you don't care. But if you're trying to keep your bait alive, you want to use a hole that will keep the baits from sticking their head through it and killing themselves.
Right.
So you want to try to pick the mesh that'll make it sink the right rate for the bait you're chasing,
so would it
and
be,
also the type weight you want.
So would it be safe to say for pilchards you want a 1/4 inch mesh or 3/8?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What size? 8 to a 10 footer would probably be the right size, Dave?
Yeah, like if you're going to start out, throw in an 8 foot, and then maybe go up to a 10 or 11, 12 footer once you get the hang of it. Because a lot of guys they'll think that you have to be a big, strong dude, and they'll try to really throw the net. And a lot of guys think you have to throw it like a Frisbee, that the centrifugal force opens up the net. That's not true. It's the technique that you use to throw the net that opens it up right. And you don't have to throw it real hard. You just have to spin, on your axis and get it out. There's no way that I can sit here and tell you how to throw a net. And you can't read about it and do it. What you have to do is you have to go online and look at some videos.
Right.
Or get some fella who knows how to do it and show you. I learned from the Calusa.com. They make cast nets and they have some really good instructional videos. And that's I use their method. It's a very easy method. You can you fold the net in half a couple times so most of the net is up high, which is good if you're going to be wading and throwing a net. When you're up to your waist in water, you have to have all the net above the water to throw it.
Right.
And that's a good way to do it.
Well, I got to say, the one thing I really like about the Black Pearl is that they have their weights are a lot closer together. They have twice the amount of leads.
Right.
And
If your leads are more than 5 or 6 inches apart, that's no good. Especially if you're fishing for pinfish or big mullet. That's stuff that'll dig underneath the net. When it's on the bottom, a pinfish or a mullet, they'll try to root out from underneath of it. So you need your weights close together. And like I said, about 1.5 pounds per foot.
You did a good job. I appreciate all of that.
Yeah, and I didn't have to throw it.
I thought I was going to see you throw it. But you know what? Speaking of
maybe
throwing
we'll do it at the
that
end.
girl over there, Bree, can throw this one like it's nobody's
nice
been
and soft,
I can, and what Dave said is right. I actually learned my method by Googling, and I learned from this guy from Australia. A lot of people tried to teach me, but until you find your own way that works for you, Googling seems to be the way to go. All right, guys, coming up next week on Thursday, May 18th, is the CCA Homestead Banquet and Auction at Schnebly Redlands Winery and Brewery. It's going to be a fun-filled night full of auctions, raffles, open bar, and dinner. So for more information, visit ccaflorida.org. Rick and I will be attending, so we hope to see you all there. All right, if you're in the StarTron Central West region, Captain Jeff Page is going to tell you all you need to know for a successful morning of getting bait. Right, Paige?
That's right. And you know what? In the StarTron Central West region, we have no shortage of bait. And Dave pretty much covered the cast net, but we have a lot of different types of ways to catch them. Probably the best tool is the cast net. And in the Central West region, we have 3 popular mesh sizes that'll cover you year-round. First, the smallest mesh, 1/4 inch. It's popular when used in and around shallow grass sand flats where you're not in a big worry about that net sinking fast. And then we move up to the 3/8, which I would say is probably your all-around net. You can use it in deep water, you can use it in shallow water, and you're not going to gill a lot of fish. And then some of the guys that cast net the mullet, the silver mullet, and the bigger pinfish and stuff like that, they use a 5/8. Now, when you get into bigger than that, we're talking about a 1-inch mesh net, and that's really not for bait. That's more for, commercial harvest of the mullet when he's full of roe. Anyway, length of cast net depends on, how big an area you want to open up, as well as how well you are at throwing it. Some other techniques that we use around here, of course, the sabiki. That'll catch a variety of thin fish. Easy to use, just jig it off the bottom. One that probably hasn't been mentioned tonight is the Florida snow shovel, which is just a scoop. You go out along the beach, you can scoop up a bunch of sand, rinse it out, and there'll be sand fleas in it, which is a great pompano and sheephead bait. And last but not least, a good long-handled dip net for your shrimp and crabs and when they're flushing out the passes and inlets in the Central West region. I've got a photo tonight of a live well full of live pilchards in my 26 Pathfinder.
Looking good, Paige. All right, let's go. Give me some inshore info, bud.
All right, we have snook action. I got to stay with the snook. It's catch and release. I suggest handling them gently and getting them back in the water. But all the spoil islands and oyster bars in Lemon Bay, as well as Terracea and Palmasola Bay, are holding good fish. If you want to throw lures, early morning topwater action with that bone chartreuse skitter walk or the natural live target bait ball walk the dog plug in and around the mullet schools are producing some quality size line siders. But once that tide gets up, which it does around noontime, you know we're on the full moon this week, it's tough to beat live free line pilchards. And what we've been doing, Rick, is not fighting the wind but utilizing it by power pulling down with that wind at our back and making long casts up against the mangrove or oyster bar shorelines. I've got a photo tonight of Dave from West Marine and Danny from Blue Sea Electronics using the new Cuda Tool gripper hanging on that snook before they released him.
All right, let's go offshore, bub.
Offshore red grouper, nice red groupers, holding over hard bottom in 65 to 90 feet of water. Live pinfish or frozen sardines are working great. Look for these fish to move out soon as our water temperatures are rising. Second species, blackfin tuna. The tuna bite remains strong. It's been probably a banner year. They hadn't had a year like this in a long time. When the winds are light enough to get out, to get them, they're holding on the same wrecks and reefs that the permits are holding on, that 50 to 75 feet of water. They're taking free line pilchards or smaller number 8 lift X wraps. And I've got a photo tonight of a happy client of Suncoast Fishing Charters with a nice blackfin tuna.
All right, Jeffrey, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Daiquiri Deck Central West region hotspots. Inshore tarpon, good tarpon schools along the beaches in the south part of the region from Venice Fishing Pier south to Boca Grande. And then offshore permit, loads of permit holding on the hard bottom and reefs in 7 to 9 mile range off of Bradenton Beach.
All right, well guys, Rick, Dave, our studio audience, and I are going to take a quick break, but when we return, we're looking up to the Panhandle region and motoring over to the Central East region. We'll be right back.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventures. The American Fishing Tackle Company, precision tackle and performance clothing since 1958. Best parts, best prices, Bennett Auto Supply. Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
I think it's time to change my battery. Now you do it.
Get AC Delco batteries at Bennett Auto Supply. Plus, get $10 off your first online purchase when you register at BennettAuto.com.
Bennett Auto Supply. Do it yourself, but not alone.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left, there's no cycle.
When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Chevy is the most awarded car company 3 years in a row.
Really?
Let's see how quickly you can read through all their awards.
2017 Motor Trend Car of the Year.
Kelley Blue Book 2016 Best Resale Value. US News Best Car for the Money. 10 Best blah, blah, blah.
Only about 90 more to go.
2017 IIHS Top Safety.
2017 North American Car of the Year.
That's a lot of awards.
Get 20% below MSRP on all Malibu LT models. That's $5,200 on this Chevy Malibu. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Well, welcome back to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. And with me is Arnaldo Bowman. Is that correct? Did I say that correct? That's not like John Smith, I want you to know.
Right.
But you know what? The beautiful thing is you have one of the largest Chevy dealerships in the United States. And we're going to do a great fishing seminar on June 1st there. But I want you to tell everybody why they need to come because of all the great incentives we're going to have.
Well, thank you, Rick, for the invite. I truly appreciate it. And thank you for choosing Bowman Chevrolet for the seminar. June 1st, we're planning to have a big party, right? And a great event where we're going to offer up to $12,000 off MSRP on all Silverados, Tahoes, and Suburbans in a way to welcome your team and your followers. As you mentioned, we're the largest Chevy dealer in the Southeast and the 5th largest Chevy dealer in the nation. And we're looking very much forward to have great incentive. We're going to have food. We're going to have a good time.
We're going to have fishing seminars. Jimbo Thomas is going to be there. He's going to be talking about dolphin fishing right off of Miami. Randy Towle, our regional captain from the Florida Keys, he's coming up to talk about yellowtail fishing, which I know you love to do. And then Bree, the lovely Bree, is going to teach us all how to throw the cast net, which we're talking about tonight at the workbench. So it's going to be packed. It starts at 5 o'clock on June 1st in the afternoon, a Thursday. Get everybody ready for the weekend, and then it's over at 8. So we got, like you said, we got great deals on trucks. We're gonna actually have some service deals, all kinds of great things. I'm looking so forward.
Bowman Chevrolet West Kendall, because remember, it's Bowman Chevrolet West Kendall because we have 2 locations.
Yes.
The one next to Sue Miami.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Guys, if you can't remember, just go to our website. We'll have it posted.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invite.
Hey, Bree.
Gonna be a fun event, party, party, party. I'm showing everyone how to throw a cast net my way, but I'm also excited to learn other people's ways. New methods are always good. But anyways, the Yeti Panhandle region is definitely all about that bait, especially when you go out with Captain Pat Deneen. Remember our sabiki fun in the inlet, Pat?
That's right. Hey, Bree, but before we talk about that, come up here and teach me how to throw a cast net.
Okay, I will. I'll try.
All right, I tell you what, good bait, it can make or break a day of fishing. And depending on the type of bait you're after, you can either catch your own or buy it. And in the bait, the primary summertime baits are going to be menhaden and pilchers. And the menhadens are typically in the upper bay and bayou areas, particularly where you have some freshwater inflow. I mean, basically, it's the more brackish areas. You're going to look for them flipping on the surface or mark them on your bottom machine. And then the pilchers are usually closer to the inlet in the saltier parts of the bay, often over grass bottoms. And an 8 to 10 foot, 3/8-inch mesh net is a primary tool for catching the pilchers, the menhadens, and the small bayfish. But it really pays to have a 1/4-inch mesh net as a backup because oftentimes those pilchers will gill up pretty bad in a 3/8-inch mesh net. All right, so the bait traps can also be set for catching pinfish and other finfish. And then in the Gulf, the herring, cigar minnows, hardtail, speedos, they can all be caught on the sabiki rigs like we did that day, Bree, outside the inlet. And then when the bait's biting good, you can often load up every hook. Use a 2 to 3 ounce weight, stay tight and steady wind as you retrieve. The hook baits are going to keep those other flies wiggling and kind of load up that rig. And by staying tight, you're not going to tangle up your sabiki rig too bad. Make sure you have a small wire dehooker. Unhook those baits and drop them straight in the well without touching them. And then finally, if you want to buy your bait, most of the local tackle shops sell shrimp, fiddler crabs, bull minnows, or sand fleas, depending on the season and what's running at that time. And then if you're gulf fishing, each of our inlets, Panama City, Destin, Pensacola, they all have live bait boats working there every day during the season, weather permitting, selling cigar minnows and herrings. And there's a photo of Steve from Destin Live Bait, and he's showing us how to get it done by throwing a cast net. It's a big cast net, catching cigar minnows and herrings. Wow. And I often just go straight to Steve and get my minnows and just not even mess with the sabiki rigs.
I like it. All right, let's stay inshore. Pat, what do you got?
Speckled trout, day or night, you can catch them right now, and the fishing for them is good. In the daytime, you're going to look for them on the grass flats in 2 to 6 feet of water. Fish with the wind to your back and cast plugs, soft plastics, or live baits on a clacker bobber downwind ahead of you, the direction you're drifting. And when you get that bite, drop your power pole or drop an anchor and stop there, and then thoroughly fish that downwind area, because where there's one, there's often more. And then at nighttime, it's primarily a live bait fishery under the dock lights, using either shrimp or small minnows. Best lights typically are going to have some current and some deep water nearby. You want to anchor up so you can free line a bait in with the current through that sphere of light. Use a light leader and a small hook, and you can usually catch several fish from each light before the fish are going to still be there, but they just quit biting. So catch 2 or 3, then you keep seeing them, but they kind of got wise to you. Move on to the next light, and you can keep on fishing. And then moving offshore, the red snapper are open in state waters on the weekends in May, and then full time in June and part of July. So and this past weekend, I know a lot of big snappers were caught, but make sure you stay within 9 nautical miles in the state waters. You're going to find them on reefs and wrecks in depths of 60 feet in the Gulf, and there's also a really healthy population of them within Pensacola Bay. They've got a nice deep bay. You want to hold up over that structure, fish live herrings or cigar minnows on a slip sinker rig, use a 3 to 5/0 circle hook, and 4 to 5 feet of 30 to 50 pound fluorocarbon. And then the red snappers also respond real good to chunking, so you can also hold up on top of that spot, cut up some minnows, let those chunks drop down there. The snappers are going to rise up, and then you can just free line on the bait on a hook. The snappers are running up to and over 15 pounds. And then after you get your snappers, the king mackerel is still biting pretty well. So put on a wire stinger rig and either slow troll or drift those live baits near the surface for the kings. I like to use a number 5 wire with a 2-aught short shank hook for the nose hook on the stinger rig, then a number 2 treble hook for the stinger hook, and then make your stinger hook maybe 3 to 4 inches beyond your nose hook, basically 2/3 of the way down the bait. I like to let mine dangle. Some people like to just let it, they'll secure it somewhere mid-body on the bait. But build a bunch of leader sets and have them ready to go. So with it, you're ready to rig up another set as soon as you release a fish or keep a fish, and that wire leader's all boogered up. And I use a little piece of pool noodle to store those set rigs. And the kings to run anywhere from 6 to 15 pounds.
All right, Pat, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region. We're talking about beachside, outside of Pensacola Pass for big redfish and live baits on swim baits. And then offshore, red snappers on the wrecks and reefs in state waters, Saturday and Sunday using live cigar minnows.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
I know. All right, the Bell's Central East region has it going on this weekend, made for mamas. So listen up to Captain Jim Ross. Hey, Jim.
Hey, gang, I tell you what, the bait is obviously a game changer when the fish won't hit your lucky lure. And right now, inshore in our lagoons, we're starting to use pigfish, fingerling mullet, pinfish, shrimp, and always cut bait fish like ladyfish and mullet. The speckled trout, flounder, black drum, and redfish will eat pretty much all of the above. Now, out along the beaches, we like to throw the cast net for menhaden and pilchards that we use for tarpon and snook and sharks and some of those big jack crevalle. And then when you're running farther offshore, a lot of guys, like Pat was talking about, drop down those sabiki rigs, jig up some sardines, jig up some blue runners, redfin herring, cigar minnows. These are all really, really good bait fish, and they're the preferred bait fish for dolphin, grouper, amberjack, sailfish, and quite a few of those other species that we find out there. Now, when you're looking for bait fish, especially like pigfish and pinfish, you want to look in sandy potholes in some of the deeper grass flats. Mullet, can usually be seen on top and are normally caught around causeways or spoil islands. And then in the nearshore waters, pilchards, croakers, and menhaden are usually on the flats just inside of the inlets, like Ponce Inlet and Sebastian Inlet. Or you can go just outside around the buoys and wrecks, especially like Canaveral. You can also find those blue runners and cigar minnows and sardines that we were talking about a little bit earlier. Now, on some days, the bait fish aren't real easy to find, and so you do have to do a little bit of searching. But the main thing to keep in mind is that when you do get live baits, you want to keep them lively. So don't overcrowd your bait well. And make sure you have a bait well that has plenty of good flow to it, because frisky baits are way more effective than lethargic baits. So keep those baits happy and healthy, and you'll get a bend in your rod. Now, I've got a photo here of Captain Donald Andresi of Sebastian with his client, Brenda Allen, and she got this really nice Central East snook that they caught on a ladyfish down in the Sebastian area on a piece of cut. They used to catch the snook was a piece of cut ladyfish. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
So just goes to show you, anything can work. Just a lot of guys will think, hey, live bait's got to do it for the big snook, or live bait's got to do it for the tarpon. Not necessarily, guys. Those fish will pick up cut baits as well, so don't overlook them in some cases.
All right,
now,
let's talk about redfish, Bub.
Redfish is our second species, and you want to throw a soft plastic like the saltwater assassin shrimp right now. That shrimp cocktail rigged on a weedless hook, that is the way to go. Squirt it with a little bit of Bang shrimp scent. Throw it at the redfish that are tailing in the shallows, and especially in the Mosquito Lagoon right now. They're doing a lot of tailing. Now, right now in the Mosquito Lagoon, colors are good colors to use are dark colors like the root beer with red flake, the mud bug, and the drunk monkey. And then if you're fishing down in the Banana or the Indian rivers, there's not a lot of grass down there, so there's a lot of sand. The light beer color and the Papa Smurf color in that shrimp cocktail are what you're going to catch those fish on down there around those docks and mangroves. And I've got another photo of Ted Gaines here with one of those Mosquito Lagoon redfish that he sight cast to with one of those saltwater assassin shrimp cocktails that we just mentioned a minute ago.
Let's go offshore. Yeah, bud.
AJ's 27 Fathom Ridge and the cones this week. The whole outside area, anything outside of 180 feet, is holding good numbers of amberjack. Live pinfish, live croakers, grunts, and if you can find some pogies, we haven't had a lot yet, but if you can find some, definitely those live baits will work. You can also use a 12 to 24 ounce deep jig depending on how deep you are and what the current happens to be doing. You can tip them with a piece of cut bait if you want to, and those reef donkeys are going to run about 20 to 30 pounds at this time. Now, the other species offshore, dolphin are starting to show up. We've had really good reports of some fish starting to show up anywhere from about 90 feet of water outside of the action all the way to 350 feet up out of the ponds area. Most of them are schoolies and gaffers that are in that 7 to 15, 15, maybe even up to 20-pound range. But I'm telling you, there's some bigger fish that are on the way. We've got some 30, 35, 40-pounders that are showing up as well, especially on those deeper outside areas, especially in the Canaveral and Ponce sections of the region. So make sure that when you get out this weekend, it's going to be a great weekend to be with your mom. But if you do get out this weekend, rig your ballyhoo, run out to find that edge, that weed line, that rip, that color change, and you guys and gals should find some good dolphin out of the Central East region this week.
All right, thanks, Jim. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the sea sucker hotspots from the Central East region. Inshore, speckled trout in the Mosquito Lagoon, fish around the mullet schools, use skitterwalk plugs early, and then try chicken on a chain colored salty snacks, and then offshore, amberjacks on the wrecks, 180 to 240 feet of water, use live pinfish on a standard bottom rig.
There's nothing like hooking up to a big fish, but I love to bait fish. I just love it. I have so much fun. It's just, anyways. Okay, if you're planning on taking mom to the Keys for a relaxing weekend on the water, stay tuned. And Dave Farrell at the CCA Workbench is going to give you some great gift suggestions for the new product segment. What you got for us, Dave, over here?
Little squid perfume for
Squid
mom.
perfume for mom.
It'll be nice.
That'll be wonderful. Some husbands are really going to love that one.
Yeah, it smells good.
I'm good. I'm
Get
good.
over
I'm
there.
not
Right here? Is that where you put it? Yeah, that's good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's good. We'll be right back, guys.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by the Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. FWC, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. Navionics, we start where the road ends. SoftScience, supreme comfort footwear. Power Pole, swift, silent, secure. Real legends, exclusively at Bell's. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, and Pathfinder. Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 offshore four-strokes. For those that like their V6 lighter, faster, and stronger. Setting new standards for power, efficiency, speed, and lightweight. Built for the rigors of offshore boating. Packed with Yamaha's legendary reliability. And now Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 four-strokes offer a choice between digital or mechanical controls to match your rigging preference. Yamaha, reliability starts here.
Hey, how do you like your Contender? How do I like my Contender? What's not to like?
Dude, I just saw a Contender, and man, I gotta give me one.
Dave, we're here at the CCA Workbench, and
Yes, we
man,
are.
you got some goodies to
I got
talk
some cool
about on the
stuff. I got
products.
some cool. This is an attractant that you'd put on your jigs. If you ever remember when you were a kid, you had the Uncle Josh pork rind.
Oh, yeah.
You put on your jigs. Well, this is an updated version of it.
This looks like one here.
They're called Otter Tails, and you go to otterlures.com, and they come in a lot of different styles. That's the split tail version. They have long, thin versions like a little strip bait. They also have a little curly tail, you know, that comes in different sizes from the tiny one here up to great big giant ones. It's like if you were wanting to put one on a grouper jig, right? A big curly tail. And this stuff is incredibly hard. It is very strong.
It doesn't look hard.
It doesn't look hard. It's very flimsy and supple, but it is incredibly tough. When you put that stuff on a hook,
my
it's not
God.
coming off.
It's not gonna break.
And it's so thin, you'd think you'd be able to rip it right to pieces. But when you put that on any jig, it's gonna give it a great flutter. It comes with some impregnated stuff, but super tough stuff from Otter Tails.
That's some cool stuff,
It is.
Dave.
It's pretty neat stuff. Otterlures.com. All right. This is a new waistband trash bag, they call it.
And this is by Sea Sucker.
By Sea Sucker, waistband trash bag. You know, we always have a problem when we're out in the boat where to put the trash. We end up putting it in a 5-gallon bucket. It ends up blowing out of the bucket. When you got a nice bag like this, you know, you can hang it anywhere you want with these big 4-inch Sea Suckers.
So
he's going to show you how to put it
so
on
here's
real
how
quick.
it works. When you see this orange band, guys, you're going to stick it on any surface, and then we're just going to pump.
And you can hang by that thing.
Until there's no more yellow or orange showing. Now the great part about this is you can connect this to your console, to your gunnel of the boat. Anywhere where you have a flat surface. We've even tried it on the non-skid of the top of the Yeti, and it works really well.
Right.
The thing I like is now we have a place that we can actually clip a trash bag like you have there,
They
Dave.
put the bag in there, and these got these little black clips that go right on the outside edge. And it's not going anywhere once you get that thing on there. It's gonna fill up, and you're gonna be able to keep your boat and everything else from getting polluted.
All right, we got about 45 seconds to talk about
This is the new Suffix 832 Advanced Super Line. It's got an 8-thread weave, 7 strands of Spectra, and then 1 strand of Gore something. I don't know if it's Gore-Tex. They call it Gore. I don't know what it is, but what it does is it gives it an incredible durability. So it's super, super thin. That 10-pound is like a 4-pound diameter. It's very smooth and very strong for its diameter.
The Gore, in my opinion, is what makes it so smooth. Somehow or another, after casting the 832, you know, probably for a half a day.
32 weaves per inch. I mean, they make it, that's what makes it so soft and supple.
And that's what makes it cast so well.
Yep.
All right, Dave, well, we've got some coasters here to talk about. Jonathan, if you'll step in here. Jonathan is from Costa's RX department, and Costa's no stranger to eyewear. So let's talk about our newest addition to the line.
Absolutely. So I think everybody knows that Costa makes the clearest lenses on the planet with the most durable frames.
Yeah.
But do they know that we have Costa Optical? So this optical collection is named after 5 underwater structures, and it basically is comprised of all the same DNA that you know and love from our sunglass line collection.
So we can get our prescriptions put in any of our frames with any color tint of lenses, as well as the outside covering. So we can have silver mirror with a sunrise lens, but we're talking about what happens when the sun goes down.
Absolutely. So yes, of course we can put prescriptions within your suns, but right here, it's all about when the sun goes down. So you're gonna have your same DNA. You've got your hydrolite that runs the inside temples.
Right.
You also have non-corrosive metals. You've got a bio-based resin nylon that's virtually indestructible.
What about this cool little case?
Raw quart case, absolutely, completely renewable.
And all of this can be done through a optical center that carries Costas, correct?
That's correct. So go on to costadelmar.com, check out your authorized RX dealer. Right there, you'll find your optical collection.
Quickly, warranty, what do we got?
2-year frames, and of course, most of the time, you'll see a 2-year lens warranty as well.
Man, I'm gonna tell you.
I wish they had these when I was a kid. I had those big black block ones, you know. I didn't have no Costa glasses when I was a kid. I got the beat up glasses.
Well, as always, Costa, I can really see what's out there, and You know what?
Costa.com.
Yeah, man, Costa.com. Guys,
CostaDelMar.com.
we got some new sheriff in town when it comes to optics, right, Bree?
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of sheriff, I mean, those would be a great gift for Mom for Mom's Day. But Guy Harvey also has made these great, Adrian is showing this for us, fire department, and I have the police department shirt on. And he's always coming up with great special edition shirts to honor our law enforcement and our first responders. So go to Guy Harvey's website and check those out if your mom happens to be in law enforcement or a first responder. All right, Captain Randy Tao is now on the line from Paradise in the Keys. And if you want to be hooked up, he's going to tell you how, what, when, and where to do it. Let's hear it, Randy.
Hey, good evening, fish fans. You know, when it comes to bait, it's pretty important throughout the Keys. Depending on what you're going to target, you can go to your local tackle shops and get shrimp and ballyhoo and squid and things like that. But live bait is really key. And you want to have a cast net and you want to have a sabiki rig, preferably the R&R sabikis I like a lot, to catch your pilchards, cigar minnows, blue runners, whatever it may be. Now, you can look on your GPS. If you have a Navionics chart chip on it, you're going to find the patch reefs and the shallow areas around Hawks Channel. Now, that's where you're going to anchor down. You're going to put a chum bag out, and you're going to attract the ballyhoos and the cigar minnows and sometimes pilchards during the day, and you'll catch your bait and then move on to whatever you're trying to target. And a lot of these patch reefs will also hold some grunts, which are excellent bait for cobias and grouper. Some of the shorelines with diving birds are what you want to look for the pilchards. That's how a lot of these guys will load up with 1,000 pilchards and go offshore with them. They're finding the birds diving in shallow water. Backcountry, a little bit different. We're throwing the cast net on finger mullet, and we're also anchoring down catching pinfish. That's a preferred bait in the backcountry, and pinfish will yield you tarpon, snook, redfish, and most anything in the backcountry. So that's kind of the backcountry baits. And anywhere you have some current and that chum is able to flow, you're going to attract some bait, and you'll be able to get what you need to go fishing. The permit right now, they're still around. Seems like the oceanside wrecks and some of the oceanside flats are holding some pretty good permit right now. We're on some full moon tides. They're big, they're strong, and a lot of these outside flats have a rocky edge to them. And those rocky edges, a lot of times, you're going to see a permit, and guys are sitting out there tarpon fishing, so they're getting a few shots at permit as the tide is peaking and getting high during the middle of the day. And especially when you can see, you want to have a good heavy spinning rod and throw a live crab at that swimming permit, and you're going to get a bite from them. Captain Pablo Rodriguez with Slam Time Charters in Marathon, I've got a photo of a double header his clients caught, and he tells me the permit fishing off a Marathon right now is still very strong.
That's some nice footage there, Randy. Good job. All right, let's do a little offshore info for our offshore enthusiasts.
Well, we got to talk about blackfin tunas. Everybody's going offshore dolphin fishing, and the tunas are going to get it whether they like it or not. A lot of guys will leave early, and they'll hit the offshore humps. We've got the Alamorada, we've got the Marathon humps, and the West hump. And these areas hold pretty good blackfin tunas this time of year. Now, if you just want to catch dinner, put out a couple of dark feathers, troll them way back, or the worms, which I like, and catch a couple of tunas for dinner, and then move on and do something else. Now, if you want to target the bigger tunas, you need live bait, and that's where that well full of pilchards comes in right there. You're going to want to have plenty of chum, and you're going to start up current of the hump and throw out some chum and drift over the top of it. And what those freebies, as we call them, they get the fish to come up to the surface, and they hit your drift baits as you go over top of the hump. I've got a photo of Captain George Clark with Rodeo Charters in Key Largo with a 35.5-pound blackfin tuna he caught the other day, just barely getting away from a shark.
You know, I find it humorous after knowing you for 35 years that you're finally admitting that you like to troll the worm, Randy. All right, so let's go offshore and tell me about the mutton snappers.
You know, bottom fishing is one of my favorite things to do, and as you know, we did a great Sportsman's Adventure show in Muttonland here off of Alamorada. But the muttons are up and down the Keys right now. Marathon's got a good bite, Key West has got a good bite, and beyond. The Tortugas and guys are having some really good mutton snapper fishing now. You could be in 30 to 50 feet of water on the edge of the reef, and you can also fish out deeper, which I like to drift on the hard bottom out in about 150 feet with live ballyhoos or pilchards with a long leader. That long leader is critical to get your bait away from the lead to get more bites from a mutton snapper. 30 to 40 feet, a 40-pound test leader is what I use to catch my mutton snappers. And I've got a photo with Ryan a couple of days ago with a 24-pounder he caught in Muttonland.
Man, I want to go back to Muttonland. Will you take me, Randy?
Yeah, we've already been there before. You know where it is.
All right, let's go again. All right, bub, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Florida Keys region. Inshore, tarpon. Look for them on the ocean for the migrating poons for fly fishing, and then you can use crabs or mullet around any of the bridges. And then offshore, mutton snappers use live ballyhoo and a 30-foot leader while drifting along the reef in 90 to 150 feet of water.
All right, well, there's always tournaments going on in the Florida Keys, so let's take a look at a few coming up. All right, more than 40 species of fish are targeted during the Key West Fishing Tournament, continuing through November 30th. There's no entry fee, and participants receive citations and qualify for a variety of prizes. At the Key West Co-Ed Mahi Masters, set for May 12th through the 14th, prizes are to be awarded to male and female angler teams scoring the highest total combined weight of 3 dolphin catches. May 20th and 21st is dedicated to lionfish removal and awareness activities around Florida. In the Florida Keys, the go-to source for information is the Reef Environmental Education Foundation. Special flies, accurate casts, and a little bit of luck are the recipe for winning the Loop Golden Fly Invitational Tarpon Tournament set for May 21st to the 24th in Isla Mirada. And now let's check in with Andy Newman to see what featured tournaments he's talking about this week. Go for it, Andy.
Well, hi guys. What else is better than spending Mother's Day weekend fishing for dolphin, as well as helping Habitat for Humanity of the Middle Keys? You can do both at the 11th Annual Mother's Day Dolphin Tournament this Friday and Saturday in Marathon. Over $8,000 in cash and prizes have been awarded at past events. Get more information at habitatmiddlekeys.org, and for more details on all tournaments in the Florida Keys, always go to flakeys.com.
All right, don't throw the net just yet, guys. We're headed to the Northwest and East regions next, right here on the Chevy Florida
Insider Fishing Report.
That is correct. We'll be right back. Look at all of our lovely anglers.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala. Catch the latest at Rapala.com. Startron cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. YETI, built for the wild. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 30 years. Strike Zone Fishing, your fish hunt paddle store. And Guy Harvey, marine wildlife artist and conservationist.
Real Legends Performance Clothing. Everything you need to be comfortable on the water all day long. Keeps you cool, dry, and protected from the sun. Durable performance technology at an unbeatable value. Shop anytime or go to reallegends.com to find a Bell store near you.
Today we're going to be comparing the roll-form steel bed of the Chevy Silverado to the aluminum bed of this competitor's truck.
Awesome.
Yeah. First, let's check out the aluminum bed of this truck.
Wow. Holy moly.
Full on crack here. Now let's check out the steel bed of the Silverado.
I'd expect more dents.
No holes.
Current qualified lessees can get this Silverado All-Star Edition for around $249 a month. Plus, find your tag and get an additional $1,500 lease cash on select Silverado pickups in stock. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Flagler Construction Equipment is your certified Takeuchi equipment dealer, servicing 55 counties in Florida. With Takeuchi, you get brute strength combined with bulletproof durability. That means low downtime and optimal production. Flagler Construction Equipment is the partner for all your Takeuchi sales, service, and rental needs, and your first and last stop for legendary customer service and support. Pros know Takeuchi. Get to know Flagler Construction Equipment by stopping by one of our 6 locations or visit us on the web at www.flaglertakeuchi.com.
Welcome back, guys. Moving right along to the Flagler Construction Equipment Northwest region, Captain Jeff Hageman is going to tell you how to catch him up from the bait to the bite. Hey, Hag.
How you doing?
Pretty darn good. We got a full house in here tonight. It's pretty exciting. Don't mess up.
Awesome.
So tell me about some bait, bub.
Well, most guys start their morning off by going to get bait, and I'm one of those guys too. I like to transfer a lot of bait around the bay, so I'm kind of known for that. There's several different kinds of bait in the area, and species of bait commonly used in my region are shrimp, pinfish, pigfish, scaled sardines, threadfin herring, Spanish sardines, mullet. Those are the most common. There's a lot of challenges to catching bait. Most guys start their day off with either throwing a cast net or going to the bait shop. If you're going to be throwing a cast net, an 8 to 10 foot or 12 foot 3/8 net is the most common one used. And if you're not used to throwing one and you want to start using sardines, a little practice in the backyard, get somebody to show you how to do it. There's a lot of videos on YouTube that you can learn how to throw a net, and getting on the backyard will help you open that thing up and then be prepared when you get out in the boat. But sardines can be caught on the grass flats, bridges, piers. You can chum them up, you can concentrate it. Everybody's got their own little mixture of chum concoctions. You can buy tropical fish food, mix that with water, or you can add jack mackerel to it or oatmeal or whatever to get the fish all fired up. Also, Sabikian bait like threadfin herring and blue runners. That's another way we catch bait. Pinfish and pigfish, you can either catch them in traps or you can hook them, line them on deeper grass flats. Pass crabs right now with this moon coming out, and the tarpon bite, permit bite going on right now. On this moon, for the next few nights, the crabs will be flushing out of the passes. So get around the passes, use a dip net, and just dip them up, and you can get a bunch of bait that way, and it's a little cheaper than getting crabs the other way. But on this full moon, that's a great way to go get bait right now.
All right, give me some fishing info, Bubba.
All right, Captain Jimbo Keefe of saltwater assassin fishing charters from Cedar Key reports an inshore trout bite right now has been really great this last week. On this outgoing late afternoon tide, the bigger trout are feeding on the turn of the tide. You're using a Bass Assassin green moon sea shad beneath a B52 super sounder cork in 3 to 5 feet of water. That's been the ticket he's been catching them on, and I got a photo here of a nice trout caught on one of Jimbo's recent trips.
Nice. All right, let's go offshore, Daddy.
All right, Captain J.B. Charters out of Apalachicola reports a mangrove snapper bite. They've been showing up in that 60-foot to 90-foot range. He's using chum bags and drifting a live shrimp or a greenback into the chum line. Just like you do for yellowtails down the Keys, he's getting them fired up with that chum, pouring the chum back to him, and he's using a 1/0 circle hook with about 4 feet of fluorocarbon leader and a really light tackle. And he's catching a bunch of really nice mangs right now. And just like I said, just like you're doing it down the Keys, they chum those fish up. And I got a picture of a couple of nice mangs he caught on a recent trip.
Wow, those are nice.
Studs right there.
Yes, sir. Okay, let's go ahead. What if you got anything else for me offshore? I know you do.
I do. Captain Harry Connor of Hook 'em Harry Charters out of St. Pete reports a good AJ bite right now. And 100 to 150 feet. They're moving over any kind of major structure. You want to look for fish on your bottom machine. They will be suspended. Blue runners, pinfish, butterfly jigs, anything that's really fast you can work. And amberjack likes to chase their food down. So the faster the bait or the livelier the bait or the faster you move that artificial, the more hits you're going to get.
All right, Hag, I can tell my man has been working hard. My energy level is at its lowest for the season.
That's because he's catching
you're gonna
fish.
have to monster up for me next week, bub. I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Northwest region. Inshore, snook around the beaches and passes, use pinfish or sardines on the outgoing tide. And then carburitas, is that right, Bree? which is really a true black grouper in 130 to 180 feet of water on the rock piles and ledges using pinfish and pigfish
It's
for
a
bait.
cabarita.
Cabarita.
Cabaritas,
Yes.
not carb burritas.
Everything's carb these days,
Oh, I
Bree.
know. It's horrible. Okay, the East region is on fire right now with the spring mullet run, and these southeast winds have blessed us with heaps of shallow sardines, threadfins, and pilchards. Really, how could you go wrong, right, Captain Holiday?
Like I say, if you can sleep late if you've got bait.
That's right.
It's my game. So we got several bait fish runs going on, including the spring mullet run. And you'll find mullet along the shorelines of the Indian River and Herman's Bay, the Northbridge Flats up before Pierce, and the Herman River, really any small canals or along the west bank dock line of the Indian River. And then there's also that shift in prevailing winds, from northeast to southeast. That pushes the Spanish sardines, the threadfins, and the scaled sardines in close to shore. And you can sabiki those baits up in Palm Beach County right now off the Lake Worth and Juno Beach piers, and also off Jupiter Inlet around the Church Rubble. In Martin County, you'll find them on the Shark Barge or the Sand Pile. St. Lucie County, you'll get them on the 10A and 14 buoys, or even up in the Vero Cove. They're really stacked up there right now. On the beaches, watch for pelicans that are high diving. That usually means the larger baits are in tight to shore. And then if you can find grass on the inside, you can catch pinfish, sand perch, and pigfish. They're all outstanding baits for everything from snook to big grouper. Excuse me, put a pinfish trap out and bait it with a box of squid and half a dozen sardines, something like that. If you like live crabs, they're another good bait you'll find. They tend to be floating along the tide lines at the inlet or around the bridges at night, mostly on the outgoing tide. Wherever there's a fish cleaning table in Martin, St. Lucie, or Palm Beach County, that's got crabs around it as well. So, plenty of bait fish options on my region. So that's all good. Let's talk about the snook bite. The snook fishing's been solid all week. We're starting to see the first of the male fish push out into the surf. You can catch them around the Juno Pier, around the south side of the Jupiter Inlet, on the south side of St. Lucie Inlet, all the way down to Hope Sound, and on the beachfront rock piles off Jensen Beach, and also on both sides of the inlet up in Fort Pierce. And these fish are focused on the herring species, so, lipless plugs in green and silver, or like a copper juice colored 4-inch saltwater sass and sea shad with a 1/4-ounce jig head, or, a live pilchard is going to do the trick as well. It's not all small fish. I saw Captain John Young out of Stewart. He had a 38-inch snook in the surf this week down towards Hope Sound. And then at the same time, the inlets are full of fish, as are the bridges close to the inlets. Taylor Creek in Fort Pierce has got some giant fish feeding on mullet right now. Bear Point Shorelines has some good numbers of slot and underslot fish if you'd like to throw topwater plugs. And then at night, the A1A Bridge in Jupiter and in Jensen Beach around the Causeway, they have some nice fish eating mullet and flare hawks after dark. Average snook in my region is going to be 6 to 16 pounds. And I got a photo there. There's Miss Bree Gabrielle giving the fish of Palm Beach County stormouth. Picking inlet, she's there, she's catching them. What'd you get that fish to eat, Bree?
I was just so, what?
What'd
Dave's
that fish
talking to
eat?
me.
What he ate?
Oh, he ate a live mullet.
All right, there
and
you go.
I cast that mullet all myself.
All right, but okay,
I was
guys.
just so proud of that fish.
Time out, man. Before we go offshore Hollywood, I gotta talk about the navionics from your region. Now, you were certainly talking a little bit about the Fort Pierce Inlet, and what we've got here is we've got the navionics nautical chart that's loaded in. But guys, the other thing you can do is if we look at the second chart, we also have the sonar charts, and you can simply turn that on. We have live sonar chart recordings that you can do through a Ray Marine unit or a Lowrance unit. Now, Hollywood talked about bait. Here's where you can find those mullet. That's one of the reasons why the snook are stacked in there, as well as in and around at nighttime. The bridges and the passes all have pilchards as well as crabs flushing out on the outgoing tide. Isn't that correct, Hollywood?
That's pretty much on the money, dude. You shouldn't really tell people that.
All right, let's go offshore, man.
Well, the kingfish bite is very good once you find the fish, which are spread out from Lake Worth Inlet all the way to the St. Lucie Power Plant. The fish are in anywhere from 75 to 110 feet of water, and there's also some real big fish in on the beach on the west wind days. One day the Loran Tower Ledge is good, the next it's the Sand Pile or the edge off Jupiter or the 6 Mile Reef. So, they're moving. If you don't get a lot of action or mark fish in the first 30 minutes, move to another spot. Spanish sardines have arrived off Jupiter. they're the baits of choice, but threadfin herring, pilchards, mullet, goggle eyes, and blue runners are also great baits. Put them on a wire stinger rig or a monofilament 3-hook Palm Beach rig, and either slow troll them or drift them around the bait schools. Average king's going to be 12 to 20 pounds. Plenty of fish over 30 pounds being caught right now. I got a photo. That's Bob Huntley with a pair of kings over 20 pounds, and those fish ate live Spanish sardines in 74 feet of water off Hope Sound. The other bite going on with this week's full moon is one of the best times of the year to target mutton snapper on the reefs and wrecks in 60 to 100 feet of water throughout the entire region. Some of the best spots are the older wrecks that don't get a lot of fishing pressure, like the Halsey and the Amazon in St. Lucie County, but it's places like the Sand Pile in Stewart and Oran Tower Ledge. They also hold good concentrations of mutton snapper. They have incredible vision, so you want to use a 40 to 60 foot long leader, which also makes the bait kind of swing across a large area with the moving tide. You can drift and do well, but the best action is going to come for those anchoring up and away from the structure and chumming and then dropping down either a Spanish sardine, a pilchard, or a grunt plug. Average mutton snapper in the region is going to be 6 to 12 pounds.
All right, Hollywood, we got to talk about bass. It's what you do, so give it to me.
Yeah, man, the low water at the Stick Marsh and Farm 13 reservoir really has the bass concentrated right now. Now, water levels are super low, so low that on Garcia it's really not navigable, so you want to stay away from that area. But they are pumping water into the Stick Marsh this week. I was talking to Dean Herdman of OneCastaway.com. He's telling me the big bass are starting to move out to the deep water, and we're chewing 10-inch curly tail worms all week in the June bug and blueberry colors. On the sunny days, that watermelon red glitter colored 8-inch worms taking some big fish off the isolated stumps out in open water. But the best fishing is wherever you can find that moving water, around the pipes, around the water control structures, even on the mouths of some of the canals. Early in the day, you can throw topwater plug or that new Bass Assassin logger toad in the Florida frog or green pumpkin colors, and you'll get those explosive topwater strikes. Average fish, 2 to 4 pounds. His big fish this week was 8 pounds, and he said there's a lot of 5 to 6 pound fish in the mix. So sounds like the Stick Marsh has got some, really, really good bass fishing going on right now.
Man, great thorough report this week. A lot of great detail. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the East region. Captain Mike says inshore, snook, tarpon, jumbo jack crevalles in the Fort Pierce Inlet at night. Fish live mullet or swimming plugs on both tides, and then offshore, kingfish, dolphin, sailfish, and blackfin tunas. Drift live sardines in 90 to 300 feet of water between Lake Worth and Juneau Pier for the kingfish, dolphin, sailfish, and blackfin tunas.
I love that, Mike. Oh, that's really accurate. You shouldn't tell people that. This is the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. We
What's he
share all
thinking?
secrets with you guys so you can catch fish, right?
That's right.
That's right. All right, the reports are almost in this week for Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. But before we get you out on the water catching, we're going to our last region in the Southwest. Stay hooked, everyone. Columbus. Woo.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Chevy, find new roads. Yamaha, reliability starts here. Suffix, the world's most hardcore fishing line. The IGFA, conservation through education. Get your hands wet. Flagler Construction Equipment, your exclusive Takeuchi dealer. And Okuma, inspired fishing.
When you're moving a big offshore boat, it's all about thrust and trust. For thrust, nothing compares to the Yamaha purpose-built 5.3-liter V8 Power Pioneer. And for trust, Yamaha's new F350C model becomes the only outboard in its horsepower class to feature a 5-year limited warranty. Never settle for less than complete confidence and control in the open water. That's Yamaha V8 Power. Get the best and forget the rest.
Inside you, there's an outside you. A you that takes the road less traveled than the road less traveled, and finds the comforts of home extremely uncomfortable. This is for that you.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines.
Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Chevy is the most awarded car company 3 years in a row.
Really?
Let's see how quickly you can read through all their awards.
2017 Motor Trend Car of the Year.
Kelley Blue Book 2016 Best Resale Value.
US News Best Car for the Money. And Best blah, blah, blah.
Only about 90 more to go.
2017 IIHS Top Safety.
2017 North American Car of the Year.
That's a lot of awards.
Get 20% below MSRP on all Malibu LT models. That's $5,200 on this Chevy Malibu. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Today's Power Pole tip is certainly one of the most frequently asked questions that I get. A lot of people say, Captain Rick, I want to ask you, when I decide to get a power pole, do I want to get 2 poles or do I want to get 1 pole? Now here's what you need to understand, the pros and the cons of making this decision. When you have 1 pole, the one thing that happens is that you're going to always seem to drift downwind or down current. And the great thing about having twin power poles is that it allows you to have the great stopping power that you have when you have 1, but you're also going to have a lot more control. It's going to allow you to lock into position and the current won't change your position. Having 2 poles will let you key in on exactly where you need to be so that when you're targeting that fish, you can create the most perfect presentation. So 1 power pole anchor is always going to stop and hold your boat. But 2 will give you an added advantage for serious angling, just like the pros. The next tip is about the 3-speed control that you have, and that's today's power pole tip.
Drone action though is
You
awesome.
love that, you know,
I do.
2 power poles like having positive traction in your Chevy truck. You got
Exactly.
everything
You're just
sticking to the bottom.
locked and loaded and ready to go.
That's it.
Okay, the Bell's Southwest region gets a little specific when it comes to bait, so listen up to Ronnie Houston, and he's going to tell you how it's done. Hey, Ronnie.
Well, you know what, guys, over in the Southwest region, most of the time, generally in the winter time, probably 3 to 4 or 5 months out of the year, depending upon how our winter time is, it's going to be very simple. The most common bait used in the wintertime is going to be live shrimp, both inshore and offshore. The thing is, are they going to use it live or are you going to use it cut? On the inshore side, it's mostly used on knocker rigs, popping corks, and bucktails. But on the offshore side, besides the shrimp, most guys are going to be using cut herring, squid, and sardines. Now, a funny thing happens as we get into spring through fall. Just about everybody through the whole region is looking for the live pilchards. And generally, there's more of an abundance and more of a chance of catching them, I feel, up in the northern end of the region because of the edges, the passes, and mostly the grass flats you want to target. Now, when you're up in that end of the region, you can also do a few things. You can concentrate on the beaches, the passes, the wrecks, and the rock piles, but also the channel markers. And that goes to show you structure is a main key to find the bait. Now, looking for these baits, you can either find them flashing, you can chum them up, or strictly spot them on your bottom finder. But right now at the moment, I'm going to give you a little hint of what you need to be doing. Common at the moment right now would be the pilchards for most of your inshore species. Okay? Live crabs and threadfins right now for the great tarpon bite that's going on with the good weather. Offshore, the live crabs for the permit. Live blue runners and threadfins for the king mackerel. And then small cut pieces of squid, herring, pilchards, and shrimp after you chum for most of your variety of snappers. And live pinfish grunt, cut herring, squid, and sardines for most of your offshore grouper fishing. And except really for the pilchards, it's really mostly simple. You can go to most of your tackle shops all through the region and buy all the other baits I've mentioned all throughout the year. Now, on the inshore side, we're going to talk about it again this week, even though I talked about it last week. The tarpon bite, guys, is really heating up, especially if we've got some good weather. We're going to concentrate right now for the tarpon being caught all along the beaches and passes from Marco to Stump Pass. Like I said, it's getting into full swing, and most people that are targeting the tarpon are getting multiple hookups a day. Now, for the guy who's trying to learn, this is probably the best time of year. If you can't afford to get out with a guide or go with a guide, this is going to be the best time for you to get out and learn. You just got to get out there in the mix and concentrate up to about the beach line to 20 feet of water. Now, a couple things you need to figure out is look for the free jumping fish and we'll go towards them, or the rolling fish. Try not to chase them down. Let them come to you. But also, as you're concentrating on those fish, scan well ahead in 360 degrees to find your next bunch of fish just in case those aren't successful for you. Right now, the baits you're going to need are live crabs and herring, which are working well, either freeline or under a cork. And I got a couple prime examples. Matt Haig up in the northern end of the region with one of his customers with a tarpon beside his boat. And then also we got an action picture out off the horizon on a free jumping tarpon.
Great picks, Ronnie. Go ahead. Keep going, bub.
On the offshore side, you want to concentrate on the mangrove snappers. Marco Island to Fort Myers Beach, fishing wrecks, ledges, and artificial reefs. You're going to chum to locate these fish with either block chum or pilchers. Once you determine where the fish are on the water column, a small weight, a flat line back, especially if the water's clean. You want to use light leaders, but after a blow, water being a little murky helps as the fish don't get a chance to figure out. Keep dropping back small cut baits such as herring, pilchards, and squid and shrimp. Should have no problem getting a limit. And then the permits from Stump Pass back to Fort Myers Beach, 5 to 15 miles out, fishing wrecks, migrating schools of tarpon heading north. Those permits are traveling with them. Like I said, live crabs either free-lined or under a cork while drifting in and around the structure. Make a few passes over the structure all the way up to a quarter mile away, or simply use a cork to keep the crab higher up in the water column and continue drifting.
Great report from the Bell's Southwest region. Ronnie, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots. Captain Ronnie says inshore, Black Drum. West past the Pavilion Key, fishing the middle bays on the low water around the oyster bars and oyster shorelines. Look for those fish tailing. And then offshore, cobias, permit, king, mackerel. Marco to Sanibel, fishing the wrecks in 8 to 30 miles out using live blue runners, crabs, pinfish, or herring. Sounds like the good weather is bringing good fishing, Bree.
Absolutely. And guys, the reports are all in for the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report Bait Week. I know, right? But at least you guys have all the secrets, all the tips. But we have to come back because we're going to tell you what we're fishing for next week, right here on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. We'll be right back, guys.
Today we're going to be comparing the roll-form steel bed of the Chevy Silverado to the aluminum bed of this competitor's truck.
Awesome.
Yeah. First, let's check out the aluminum bed of this truck.
Wow.
Holy moly.
Full on crack here.
Now let's check out the steel bed of the Silverado.
I'd expect more dents. No holes.
Current qualified lessees can get this Silverado All-Star Edition for around $249 a month. Plus, find your tag and get an additional $1,500 lease cash on select Silverado pickups in stock. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
The ultimate predator has evolved again. Now, Yamaha VMAX SHO Performance is prowling the waters in 4 hungry, exciting new models. With their 4 valves per cylinder and double overhead cam fuel-injected design, these advanced 4-stroke predators are taking performance to a whole new level. Vicious, lean, efficient. VMAX SHO. The pack is growing.
When you're paid to put fish in the boat, you don't mess around with the thing that puts fish in the boat. Always use the best line.
Thanks for tuning in to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to keep up with our captains, contests, and appearances. You never have to miss a show. You can find full episodes, special segments, and updated fishing reports from your region right on our homepage. Just head to ChevyFloridaInsiderFishingReport.com for everything you need to know to stay hooked up. All right, guys, next week we are talking kingfish, so make sure to tune in. And if you would like to be a part of our live studio audience, you can go to ChevyFloridaInsiderFishingReport.com for tickets. Did everybody have a great time as our live studio audience today?
I did.
Yes! We did. We had a lot of fun. All right, but now it's time for Ask Captain Rick, and tonight we have a question from our live studio audience member, and you are?
Nicole.
And what is your question for Rick?
My question is, how can you make sure that your bait is secure on your hook?
You know, that's a cool question. First off,
Gotta roll those balls real tight.
yeah. First off, make sure you got a barb on the hook. That's going to help keep it on there. But then the other thing is, offshore, we bridle our baits by either using rubber bands and winding the rubber band and making it a little tighter.
Or wire.
Or wire, exactly. The other thing we do inshore is we make sure if we're hooking a pilchard in the nose that, again, we have a barb, but more importantly, we go through that bone part in his nose. And on a pinfish, we certainly just hook him in the shoulder, and he's got some pretty good thick skin there, just like Dave's shoulders, pretty thick skin.
Got some pretty thick skin. Hey, Dave.
Thank you so
nice
much,
looking
Nicole.
sunglasses.
That was a great question.
Hey, happy Mother's Day to all the mamas out there. Great show, guys.
Good job.
Have a good weekend. See you next week.